Hello and welcome. My name's Debbie Gilbert. I'm the founder of the Best Business Women Awards, and today I am joined by Krishma Vaghela from Franchise Futures, who is our sponsor of Best Franchisor and has been for the last 3 years. But not only is she a sponsor, she is an ex-finalist herself back in 2015, but I'll leave her to tell you a bit more about that later. So welcome, Krishma. Lovely to see you.
Thanks for having me.
So tell us what you do and why franchising is so important to you.
Right, okay. Well, I'm a franchise consultant and a mentor. I've been in the industry for over 10 years now, running businesses for franchisees. Also, business development was a key part of that, but also then working on franchisor side and recruiting franchisees, as well as training them and then supporting them to grow their businesses. So I think for me, the key thing was that I was able to get all of that experience, and probably the most crucial experience I've got is all the negative side of franchising. I mean, you know, every business, there's always something that can go wrong. And I got to experience a lot of that. And that's probably some of the best experience I have, is to then be able to mentor people. And I think that's probably the most important word in franchise, is to have a mentor, because it's a completely different ball game. Yes, you've got your business, you're successful, you've been doing that, you've got your employees, you've got clients. But when you're franchising, it's a completely separate division of the business, and you're responsible for nurturing your franchise partners or franchisees, as they're known. Through this journey, through growing their business, helping them and supporting them with marketing, sort of holding their hands, because majority of the time, these people don't come from the same background. So for me, and even speaking to other consultants who've been in the industry, established ones for 40 years plus, that say to me that I've got skills that a lot of consultants don't have. And my experience and the fact that I understand mentoring. I don't want people to fall into the traps that many have fallen into.
What sort of traps do people fall into then, would you say?
I think it's recruiting the wrong franchisees. You're always in a rush to sort of recuperate the money you've spent on franchising, maybe, and you start thinking that every franchise inquiry that you get is yes, we want them, rather than, are they right for the business? Are they passionate about the business? Do they sort of, you've got to have a tick list of what you're looking for, a franchisee profile. Mm-hmm. And you are going to have to say no to so many people. But also, I think recruiting the wrong employees, if they're not passionate about the people they recruit, passionate about the business, you're going to get the wrong people recruiting the wrong franchise partners for you. Also, rushing and growing the franchise too fast is one of the biggest problems. They grow too fast. They don't allow time to really look at the first few franchisees. How are they settling? Are they making
better to
any
do
mistakes?
Maybe 2 or 3 franchisees in those early days and then work
Mm-hmm.
to see how they settle, rather than selling
Yep.
20 franchises and not being able to understand the support and the problems.
Yeah, absolutely. You need to learn from the mistakes, because remember, when you're starting out as a franchisor, your business model is not altogether there. Because this is completely new. It doesn't matter if you've got 5 locations. This is somebody else coming in, learning, training, starting from scratch. So you're building a business model, and that business model and that franchise model is not going to be there until you've actually mentored a good few, I would say 3 to 5, to then pick up where you've gone wrong, to then sort of adapt that business model to what it should be in future. So the key thing to remember is the first sort of 3 to 5 that you recruit are your brand ambassadors. They are going to help you recruit future franchisees. They are going to be the ones that are speaking to prospects, talking about their experiences with you, and whether you're making the money that you were told you were going to make by looking at the financial projections. But so you've got to really look after them. And a lot of people, and I know admittedly, people admit to me that they have grown too fast. They have made those mistakes, and it's fine. You've made the mistake as long as you learn from it. So mentoring is all about that, just letting them know that there are so many pitfalls and not to fall into those traps. But it's not just that, it's helping them recruit franchisees, it's helping them support franchisees. That what I do is a lot more than just consulting. There's a whole support system. And one of the newest things I launched was helping them create brand awareness so that they can get more franchisees through my knowledge of social media, but also make sure that their franchisees can get business through the way that I market their franchise. So that was something new that launched prior to the pandemic. But yeah, so there's lots of services that Franchise Futures offers to franchisors and to franchisees as well.
So you not only sponsor the Best Franchisor category, and I think when we spoke initially a few years ago, you said, look, I want to get involved with this because I'm very passionate about having good standards in franchising. So we also invited you onto our judging panel because we felt that you had some really good skills in order to identify who those best franchisors were. So what are the key things in the franchisor entries are you looking for in terms of good franchisors?
Right, okay, so the one thing people have got to remember, and this probably goes for anybody that's going into any awards, entering sort of submitting entries, always look at what the category is about. So this specifically is about the franchise side of the business. So what I want to see, because we'll understand what the business is all about, what have you done to grow your franchise network? How are you supporting them? What have you built? Are you just UK wide? Have you gone international? It's all to do with franchising. Okay?
And people know that, don't they? Because I know you said last year there were some great entries as a business, but they'd entered the franchisor category as well as other categories, and they hadn't got through simply because they hadn't demonstrated what they'd done as a franchisor, which is what you're looking for, those specific things.
Yeah. And I think people think it's so easy to submit the same entry for every category. They think it's an easy out. And that happens a lot. And it's not, because when I'm looking, it doesn't answer the questions. So for me, it's focused on that, for that particular category, best franchisor, focused on the franchise side of the business. That's really all I want to know about. But also the success stories, you know, your franchisees. This is all about franchisors do a great thing. They're sharing their secrets. They're basically recipe for success. And they're allowing people to start a business. And a lot of the people I've worked with have run flexible businesses, which means they have a flexible lifestyle. They're sharing the success, they're sharing the secrets, but they're supporting them to grow the businesses. These people come from no knowledge. They have no knowledge, like for the care industry. They don't come from a care background, for example, but they are training them and they are mentoring. Again, mentoring is very key when you're a franchisor. But you need to sort of talk about successful stories. You know, are they meeting their targets? You know, have they sort of gone above and beyond hitting their KPIs? What are they doing? Maybe they bought multiple territories. So we want to know about success stories of franchisees as well.
Yeah, so they must include that in their entry. And I know from talking to you last year and some of the other judges that they were not including those things. And the ones that did clearly were the ones that showcased that were chosen as finalists.
Yeah, absolutely.
So, you know, in terms of profile, I mean, it really goes without saying, doesn't it, that awards for a franchisor is going to help them sell more franchises?
Yeah, absolutely. Awards are key to being recognised not only by prospective franchisees, but also the franchisees can utilise the fact that this business has had so many awards in terms of recognition. They will then be able to secure clients and business from it as well. And it's absolutely important to get your franchisees to enter awards as well, because it's all about recognition, having your business recognised for what it does, your achievements. And it doesn't matter if you're a finalist. You know, a finalist is still great recognition. And I'm a 5 times Business Awards finalist. And for me, that's, people think I've won. It's kind of strange. They're like, yeah, we know about all the awards you've got. And I'm like, I didn't win, but they're like, it doesn't matter. You're a winner to us. So it's showcasing all those awards, completely promoting them, getting the media involved. It really does boost your profile, just across the whole business, not just to attract franchisees, but for them in future to grow their businesses.
Yeah, it's a really good point, that, actually. And anyone sort of sitting here watching this unsure, what would you advise them to do?
I would say, look, we've got to sort of think about the fact that this year is pretty much wiped out. So we're not going to be taking that into account.
No.
But I want you to think about, sometimes people don't want to acknowledge or feel like they've achieved something. And you sort of think, oh, no, I haven't achieved much. When you start writing a list of everything you've achieved, and that could include, you know, the franchise, that includes the franchise side of the business, because it means you've gone from 1 or 2 successful businesses to now having a network of businesses that are franchised, that are successful. What are you doing? You might have sort of added more value to it. You might have actually grown it in so many different areas or multiple revenue streams. It's always worth entering. And it doesn't matter if you don't need to have 100 franchisees. You're doing something amazing. You've got a great brand. Maybe you've got USPs, you know, as a franchisor. Other people aren't doing this. You've recruited great franchisees who are doing extremely well, who are winning awards themselves, who are sort of breaking all sorts of financial records. You know, you've got that information. You've got successes. You've got stories to tell. So for me, again, this will go for anybody looking at entering any awards. Start gathering evidence. Because believe me, evidence is where you score.
Yeah, well, you were very hot on that, which I love about you. Such an analytical judge.
Yeah, so, absolutely. You know. And the thing for me is, if the financials aren't there, if you've just sent me some figures, okay, you may not have your first year's sort of financials, that's understandable. But if you haven't got numbers that don't prove anything, you can just pluck numbers from thin air, okay? But we want to see evidences of testimonials. We want to see evidences of things you've won, PR, you know, anything. Every time something happens, you know, I used to submit snapshots of things on LinkedIn, comments people made, messages people sent me, being recognized in the industry by leading sort of consultants. You know, I used to snapshot everything and put it into my entries. So as much as you possibly can, links for things. It's fine to screenshot and create a Word document with all your screenshots in it, as long as they're all related to.
We've lost your sound, Krishma. What's happened there? Hang on. Oh, it's back. I don't know what happened there. It went off.
Send in as much information as you can, because that really does give it the wow factor. And we are looking for a wow factor as well. So you can talk up about yourself. You know, this is what this is about. But I think, yeah, evidence is absolutely key. That's what's going to win you sort of the points.
And we wanted to have this category, you know, we've had it for a number of years, because we recognise that, you know, to take your business into franchising was not an easy thing to do. And anyone who tells you it is completely not telling you the truth. That there's a lot of aspects that need to be considered, and a lot of things, like you said earlier, that people need to think about. On top of running, most franchisors still have their own territories that they're running themselves. Not all, but some. So they might be running their own business in wherever, and then they've sold territories across the UK. And, you know, we wanted to recognise the fact that this was a great way to grow a business, and a great way to actually expand your brand and get more clients and more recognition. And that's why we wanted to have this category, because it is like, when you look at growing your business and how you can, you know, utilize your brand and all the stuff you've worked on and all the processes you've got. I mean, franchising really is an ideal way to do that, isn't it?
Yeah, absolutely. It's, if you've got something you can teach somebody else and there is demand for in other locations. And I've been speaking to many sort of prospective clients like that who say, I reach my peak. Do I sell? Do I, you know, I can't manage. I've sort of outstretched myself, and they struggle. They get to the point where they're struggling. What do you do with all this extra business? Great problem to have, by the way. But that's when they sort of approach me and say, what do you think? And I think, well, don't give up, number one, because you've got something there people want. Why not franchise it? And the great thing about franchising is, and this is the way I work, is you don't need to rush anything.
No.
You don't need to panic about having the money to pay straight away, because the way Franchise Futures sort of works with a client and mentors them is to make sure they don't have to throw everything at franchising straight away. And it's a great way to start out, but you've got the ability to pull out of franchising if it doesn't work for you. If you feel like, because believe it or not everybody is cut out to be a franchisor, right? If you want to be a franchisor, you've got to be great, you've got to have great people skills. Number one, you've got to be able to teach others. Teaching is a really important element of it. And you've got to have a lot of ambition, right? So for me, it's, if you've got something that's great, you believe maybe it's a great USP, nobody else is doing it, but we've got people asking you, in other countries or other sort of locations, we want this, can we have it? Absolutely look at franchising. However, do not jump to starting launching a franchise abroad before you've actually launched it in your home country. So, get the UK going first. And then, because it happens a lot where people approach and say, oh, I've had interest from this country, but you haven't got a clue how to set up a franchise. You haven't got the support system in place. How are you going to deal with another country that has completely different culture and just the way they sort of do things? They may be more, they may be a regulated country in franchising, whereas the UK isn't. So you've got to just make sure that the business model is going to work and that you're making money from it.
Yeah. So we're really looking for people who franchise their business. They might only have 2 or 3 franchises at the moment. That's perfectly fine. Or they may have several more than that. And we're looking for people who've probably franchised a couple of years ago, really, for this category, who can come to you with some proven examples of how they've supported their franchisees, how they developed their business as a franchise, and what ongoing support and what ongoing systems they've got in place that support the franchisees to run the same business that they did. So that's our target for this category, because we want to recognise these women who have cut through all of that and actually, done it successfully, because I think you've really highlighted that it isn't an easy solution. It's a great way to grow your business, but it's not an easy route to earning loads of money. And I know we've had some great finalists in this category over the years. So that's really what we're looking for, are franchisors who have a story to tell, who've got a proven business model and some great franchisees that will give them some great testimonials. So thank you for joining us today. Really appreciate your time. And I know it'll be exciting to get those entries in this year. We had a great winner last year with Anna from Kids Lingo. Abby also won it the year before with Longcroft Cat Hotel, Luxury Cat Hotel. So we've had great winners in this category over the past few years. Great examples of women who've done amazing things in franchising. And we had some really good finalists, and it was all quite a close run thing last year. So fingers crossed that we get some good entries in again this year.
Absolutely.
And Krishma will be there on the night if the ceremony goes ahead this year. If not, it'll be next year.
Yeah.
Meet her
fingers crossed.
So thank
absolutely.
you, Krishma. And we'll drop a link in of where you can contact Krishma, but the company's called Franchise Futures. So thanks for joining us today.
Thanks so much, Debbie.
Thanks.
Stay safe. Bye-bye.
Bye.